When Ditzy made her way back to the ruined antechamber, she saw the elements, the fall ponies, and still frozen Pousons. Hey! Said Trixie. Her horn was smoking and she was gasping for air. Lyra, lying down next to her, looked even more tired. Glad you're back. Where did you put Ice? Her voice trailed off. Ditzy, please tell me that's not him on your back. He wanted to see his aunt, said Ditzy. Even as he spoke, Ice Heart was flapping down off her back and running over towards Poussin's. The air vault ponies moved from his side from their work. One seemed to be putting blankets on Poussin's and moving torches and candles underneath her. The lamb hung her. Auntie? He whimpered. Are you okay? Guys, you didn't study your history, did you? Poor Coat, said Carrot Top. I feel bad for him. I'll feel bad for us if we don't find a way out of this soon, grumbled Raindrops. Carrot Top and I got all the service to the train station, but the tracks are frozen. They say it'll be 12 hours before we get a train out here, but if we can't beat that Wendigo, we're not going home. Ditzy frowned. There goes that plan. What happened here? Lara sighed. Well, we've tried hugs, positive thoughts, and power ballads towards Shirley, and if all ponies tried blankets and torches on Poussons, but nothing worked. They're a bit of dumbasses, in case you haven't noticed. I don't think we'll be able to thaw them until we get rid of the Wendigo for good. Where is the Wendigo anyways? Asked Ditzy. I figured out that all my illusions were real fire pretty quick, said Trixie. It almost froze us. But at some point that looked kind of like Corona showed up. It blasted it with a fireball that actually knocked it back a few feet. Solar flare, said Ditzy. The first fall pony. I think your special talent is setting things on fire. Okay. Anyways, I peeked with my magic vision, and she's up to her eyeballs with magic artifacts and charms to boost her power, Trixie shrugged. She drove it off for a few minutes ago and hasn't been back. It'd be nice if some pony else could save the day for once, said Carrot Top. Yeah, but, Carrot, baby. Here's the thing. Those people aren't main characters. I'm sorry, Carrot, but you put on that necklace, you went on the adventure, your name is in the title, congratulations, you're a main character. So thus, you kind of have to do solve the problem. Sorry, them's the breaks. And you know what I'm doing? I'm reading your fic for you being a main character. I'm not reading this fic for somebody else. I'm definitely not reading this story for Random-esque Pony 4587. I'm reading it to listen to you have an adventure. It's a thing. It's kind of like how I read a Sonic comic to enjoy Sonic. I read Knuckles comic, I don't know why I would, to enjoy Knuckles. Get the picture! Hope for that outcome stirred at Ditzy's heart too, but she shook her head. Oh no, the main characters might have to actually do something. The heartwarming lessons are all true. Can't be a Wendigo just by burning them out. She bought us some time, but I don't think we can count on much more than that. As to underscore a point, a cry of pain echoes the step of another as flash lit up the sky. Orange Ring looked at the other elements. Aren't you going to help her? She asked. I know you sort of flare this game, but we can't, said Raindrops. What do you mean you can't? You have the elements. Trixie sighed. We need all 6 of us to use the elements. Charlie's frozen. And we can't just use the power of friendship, said Lyra, because we're not friends with Solar Flare. We'd be able to protect each other, but couldn't extend that to her. Also, she's a bit grumpy, said Seeing Dreams. The airful points glared at her as she shrugged. What? It's a legitimate point. There are some ponies that can make friends with their rescuers in seconds, quickly enough to under these circumstances. Solar Flare isn't one of them. Silence filled the room. So what exactly is our plan? Said Carrot Top. I don't know, Trixie hung her head. I mean, if and when it comes back. If we keep our heads and focus on our friendship, maybe that'll drive it off. But that doesn't help Solar Flare. We have to get to her, said Archie. I mean, we're friends with her. Shouldn't that be enough to protect her? We can't go. Ice Ring needs us, so Soldiers. I think he's starting to defrost. Dizzy couldn't see any difference in the frozen Ice Ring. But Silver did sound sincere, not currently. Even so, we could try, said Carrot Top. I mean, we do know the elements won't work with only 5 of us. We've never done before. Maybe it'd be enough. I don't think I'm comfortable with a maybe. Tracy bit her lip as another cry echoed across the plains. Not when so much is at stake. Raindrop sighed. I hate to say this, but maybe it's time to call in the military? We know there's cell bolts around here somewhere. They told Pusats where to read the Wendigo, remember? Maybe they got some anti-Wendigo weapon that'll melt it or something? Or, work with me, Raindrops. The Wendigo could freeze the shadow bolts, and now instead of having to save 2 lives, you now have to save 10! No! Ice Heart shoved off Pusats. They'll kill my dad! Kid, I hate to break it to you, but your dad kinda tried to kill us first. Dizzy glared at Raindrops. Well, it's spoken, but the layer mask shrugged. Well, it's true. No, he didn't. He just wanted to protect me. You didn't understand I was friends with you. Iceheart turned to Ditsy. You said he'd protect everybody. Don't let them kill my daddy. I mean, if you had to force him to thaw my auntie and the other mayor, I can... He trailed off. But don't kill him, please. I don't think we have a choice at this point, said Trixie. Raindrops. Find Pusats' room. We'll find out how she's communicating. Wait! Tracy turned to Ditsy. Got an idea. Well, we are kind of main characters, so we kind of actually have to do stuff. If we lure the Wendigo back here, it won't be able to hurt us. We're all friends, and so are the folk ponies. If we got here to focus on our friendship instead of blaming and attacking each other, we could drive it off that way, without killing it. Dizzy paused. I'll go get Solar Flare and have her run back here. Then I'll lead it back. Again, I'm surprised no ponies pointed out the bigger problem. If they don't have an anti-Wendigo weapon, and the Shadow Bolts get frozen, you have more lives you need to protect. That's the problem with getting military involved when you are the main characters. Because when you start doing that, more lives get put in danger. What? Trixie's eyes bulged. Why, somebody's gotta go, alright? Let's all go. We can't work with all of us. Only with one, and it has to be me. Dizzy was silent for a moment. Once he heard another scream, this one louder and more hoarse. So he explained her friend's plan. It only took a few sentences. Once he was done, he saw the worried faces of her friends, but none of them objected. Fine, said Trixie, but for the record, I hate this. She sighed. Let's do it. Dizzy stepped towards the hole in the wall, preparing for what she knew would, for better or for worse, be the night's last trip outside. She tensed, but then felt a hoof on her back. Turning, she saw Orange Ring with Ice Heart standing behind her. Thank you, whispered Orange Ring. We don't know what else to say, but thank you. Apologize to me for being wastes of space. Behind her, the Airfall ponies looked at her with grateful expressions. Ice Heart threw himself against Ditsy and hugged her leg. Can you really save my auntie without killing my dad? He whimpered. Ditsy smiled and hugged him. I think so, she said. If I survive this. She nodded to herself. You're the best night ever, said Ice Heart. Before Orange gently tugged him back. Good luck. Then Trixie cast a spell, and Ditsy ran out on the step. Of course it has to be me. The cold was the worst Ditsy had ever felt. It stabbed into her, cutting between the hairs in her coat and slicing to her skin, her muscle, her heart. But still she pushed forward, bowing to the snow and wind. The Earth elements can't go because the Volt ponies don't trust normal ponies. And I'm the only one that's not normal. That's worthy of default thanks to my worthy eye. Her hoof bounced off a rock, and Ditsy almost stumbled. But she kept her balance and continued towards the yells and howls of combat. The sky quickly illuminated with a burst of flame, but they grew weaker each time. If Ditsy wasted once longer, she knew they would advance entirely. The Vault ponies can't go because Brusans wouldn't want them to. She wanted to stay and protect her. For this plan to work, the bait pony has to be acting as a friend. If one of them went, they would know that they were betraying their friend, the Vice Ring, going against her wishes in her hour of need. Materially, she wouldn't want us to stay by her when a pony needs help.
So you want one of us to go help whoever's in trouble. So it has to be one of us elements. And I'm the only element that would qualify for the vault if I wanted. So it has to be me.
A thin, ragged tree blew past her. It struck whistling by her head and hurled into the night.
So it's up to me.
Dizzy forced herself to breathe evenly through her body, told her hyperventilate with panic.
Fine, time to work.
So he came across a solar flare a few minutes later. The mare was kneeling on icy ground, struggling to rise to the point where her head would break through the snow. If Dizzy would have missed her, had not seen the mare's flickering form.
Solar flare! She squeaked. Back to the hotel. We have a plan.
Solar Flare managed to get up. Somewhere in the darkness behind him, Dizzy knew the Wendigo was surely waiting, but didn't move to strike.
Plan?
Asked Solar Flare, her horn lighting up and illuminated with a ragged red glow.
What plan?
Is the fight tree okay? What are you doing here? The voice cut off as he came to the realization that Dizzy had been counting on. Solar Flare leaned in close as her eyes widened. You're not him, she whispered. You're not Ice Heart.
Nope,
she squeaked. Tracy's illusion had almost been perfect. She looked like a full half her size, with veins of ice moving through her flesh, big veins of flesh moving through her eyes. Her tongue looked icy. Her tail gave off little ice shards when she shook it, and even her voice squeaked like a colt's. Only one detail remained the same. Her eyes did not align.
I'm Dame Ditsy, said the mailman. Came to rescue you.
Solarflare hesitated for a moment before shaking her head. It's my job to keep the fight stream safe. I would die for her.
You don't need to. We can all get out of this alive.
The hybrid snoring. Ridiculous. Who will save her? Nobody else likes the fight stream. Can't disagree with you there. I mean, she is a horrible bitch. They're jealous of her wealth, her power, and her deathless generosity to her friends. Now that's a lie. That's right. You're wrong. Her enemies are so bitter they would leave her to freeze here, they knew. Solarflare turned back to the Wendigo, limbs trembling as she did. Even her own family's ungrateful. We, the Vault Ponies, are the only ones that truly love her.
Yeah, believe, Ditsy thought. So Plusans truly wants to gain out of the vault. Of course, that doesn't mean it's true. Aloud, he said, I don't love her, but I'll also fight to save her.
Why would I believe that? Maybe you'll just have to leave me here to slip away so the Wendigo can freeze her. The mare's eyes hardened. For all I know, you're one of her enemies.
You have any enemies too. Ice Heart told me about them, but I came to save you, didn't I?
Ditsy gestured her eyes.
I can see your value, the value of what the Viceroy has done for you. I can appreciate your uniqueness. Because I'm also unique, in your generosity, because I too was being hurt for being different, and once was I could go somewhere else where there were no mean ponies to hurt me. We're alike in that way.
Ditsy tapped her eyes again, personally. She thought they were alike in that they were both ponies. But her diplomacy exploit the unusual pony stick together thing that the Volts had going.
I'm not going to let a fellow special pony like you get hurt, she continued, or a bad factor of ponies like us. So, run back to the hotel. I'll stall for a few minutes and follow.
Soulfire was silent for several moments, before considering, You can't think your disguise will fool the Wendigo.
That's my problem, not yours.
Dizzy managed to smile, so she didn't know how to look on Ice Heart's face.
To melt the fight screen, she'll need all her friends. She needs you, Solar Flare.
That seemed to do it. The mare straightened and extended her wings. So be it. Good luck, Ditsy. As he flew back towards the hotel. Ditsy watched her go until she could no longer see the mare's glowing horn in the blizzard. Fighting her way back would be difficult, though Tracy had assured her that she would come up with a plan for that.
They'll probably find me after the next saw, she thought.
A soft hiss came out of the air behind her. Turning back around, Ditsy saw the storm seem to warble. It was almost pitch black, but part of the wind seemed to be adopting a watery green glow similar to the Aurora Borealis. It shifted in the air for a moment, stretching and doubling back on itself in a dizzying loop. Then Ditsy found herself looking at the Wendigo.
What would Ice Heart see?
She thought, so he had to stall for as long as possible. The whole scheme was pointless if the Wendigo was able to catch up to Solar Flare before the mare returned to the hotel.
Hi, Dad!
She chirped.
Long time no see.
The Wendigo growled, this time more harshly. Ditsy had the distinct feeling that her perfect disguise had come undone. She backed out a step, then the Wendigo flashed forwards, as it carried on the breeze. It thrust a hoof at her, slamming against her head. She felt a very cold sensation.
than a feeling of pure need. It wasn't just desire, like she might want a hot bath or a good night's sleep, or to play with her muffin after a long, stressful day. It's life-threatening, desperate need to seem to swallow petty concerns like food, warmth, and survival. All the other thoughts were wiped from her mind as she wheeled around to fulfill that need. Need for her son. I don't have a son, she thought. An image of Dinky, hazy and distant, floated in her mind. She seized it and focused on it, letting bully and fend off the Wendigo's assault. She focused on every detail of her wonderful daughter, and all the things that she needed. A loving mother, good friends, food, shelter, and education. And let those desires, which were so much more important than her own petty concerns, swamp the ones the Wendigo had flooded her head with. She didn't know how much time had passed when she managed to pull away. Her whole body was shaking from the cold. She knew the illusion of her body had been ripped away, but she hadn't fallen. You can't have him, she said. I'm sorry, I really am. I know what it's like to love one's offspring, but you can't. Not now. The Wendigo said nothing. Though it was pointless, Dizzy tried to explain. We don't know if he can survive with you. What if he froze to death? Have him in his pony. If we're out in the cold too long, he can get very hurt or even die. Would you want that? She shook her head. For his own safety, you can't have him. She shook her head and crossed her wings in the universal pony symbols of no, I'm very sorry. The Wendigo continued to say nothing for a long moment. Then with a raised swirl, swept out a hoof, and as she as snow, which had to be 6 foot tall, blasted at Ditsy. The mailman was already running away by the time the snow had crested. She managed to outdistance it barely. She could hear the Wendigo behind her, heard it pulling her to her side. The wind and snow grabbed at her. She fought her way back, free, back towards the hotel. She felt it touch her again. This time she saw more images. Of the time when Trixie terrified Fluttershy, a good friend, by demanding the agrophobic mayor play at a concert to be attended by hundreds of ponies and the princess herself. Of the time when Raindrops called her a failure to mother. Of the time when Caritas the Raised Beer Pole clones had almost destroyed the post office. Of the time when Dinky, her surly child, her stale, bitter, and rancid muffin, got in a hoof fight with Scootaloo and hadn't even seen Starry Lair. Of the time she stuck off in Camelot Castle and got herself abducted by Duke Greengrass of all ponies. Without a care in the world for how much other ponies might worry. Those thoughts and innumerable others pounded at Ditsy's head as she ran. Each one seemed to come with an extra dose of ice that chilled her from the inside out. It was almost enough to make her stop for a moment to focus on them, and on her hate for all the cruel, petty, vicious ponies who contaminated her wonderful life. After all, her thoughts insisted they deserved it. But to Ditsy was the element of kindness, and she did not believe them. She took one step forwards and summoned memories of Trixie. She remembered the showmare bravely fighting against the golem that threatened to destroy Ponyville. Trixie leading the charge to fight Corona and Grogar, and the other monsters they had carried over the past year. Well, Trixie and Celestia and Luna, who stole the show, as we all remember. Trixie, taking the time to introduce herself to Fluttershy properly and become one of the mayor's most beloved friends. She recalled Raindrops when she battled a bloodthirsty dragon called Spike and saved them all from certain doom. She had thought of the time Lyra had driven herself to the point of overchanneling when she fended off 3 sirens that wanted to eat them. When Charlie had talked some sense into her and prevented her from making a horrible mistake about Dinky's future. All the times Carrot Top had given and given and given more to help her friends, including her favorite male mare. And she thought of her beloved Muffin, the most precious foal in all the world. Her laughter, her joy, her inquisitive nature, her boundless empathy, her preternatural ability to make friends with absolutely any pony, up to and including the great-grand Crollo of Izreen. Her love of her life, friends, and most of all her mother. She thought of all these things, and realized that the snow wasn't holding her anymore. Ditsy burst into the ruined antechamber of the hotel, illuminated by a blue glow no doubt produced by Trixie, scared to a halt in front of the frozen Terralee. He's right behind me, she yelled. Everybody, get ready! You know, that whole long paragraph just proved to me one thing. The other elements were not needed in this story. We did not need them. Ditsy was enough. The Wendigo burst through a hole a few seconds later, It swelled its head between the two groups. The elements clustered around Cheerily, and the Volt ponies guarding the Ice Ring. Silverfire stood in front of the Volt ponies, wings outstretched in horn aglow, with Ice Heart perched on her back. The Wendigo turned and stomped towards them. It stopped. So it flipped back as soon as it neared the air in front of them, just as it had earlier on the step. It roared, the winter storm pounding through the destroyed wall. There was no surface in the room that was unfrozen. The ground was soon covered in 3 feet of snow. But when it moved its leg again, it couldn't reach Iceheart or the Ice Ring. And when Iceheart reached out to him, the airfall ponies backed him away before they could touch. However, saw a small crack on the Wendigo's body.
"Shouldn't they be driving it away?" whispered Raindrops. "I mean, that's what our friendship did, right?"
"They're pretty good friends, I guess," said Trixie, "but we're the best." She grinned. "Come on, girls, let's win this thing." The Wendigo turned to them and advanced. Ditsy felt her head filled with hateful images again, but this time she wasn't even slowed down. She fortified her thoughts with all the joys and triumphs she shared with her friends in the past year. From defeating monsters like the Tyrant Sun and Grogard to the little things. Saving a farm, pulling off a concert or maxi show, getting the mail routes reorganized. Every smile, every laugh, every warm feeling that Dizzy could muster went to fend off the Wendigo. Beside her, she knew her friends were doing the same thing and knew it would work. The wind and snow stopped blowing into the room. The Wendigo howled, but there was a very weak watercolor to it this time. Not forwards, but couldn't get anywhere near the elements. A rainbow of colors was swirling around him, and every time it touched the monster, its body seemed to break a little more. When it thrust its hose at him, not even a single snowflake responded. It had yanked him back and began to crumble and crack.
"You're not welcome!" roared Trixie. "We gave you one last chance. Leave it be, sir!" The Wendigo let down.
Dizzy took the hose of her friends and stood tall, ready to fight and struggle and bleed for their sakes, just as they were for her. There were several loud cracks, almost deafening in volume. Dizzy whipped her head around and saw the broken pieces from around Charlie and Feisting Poussants, then turned back to see the form of the Wendigo, and was hurled away into the winter night. I got some opinions about this. We'll get to that in the next chapter.